am certain you will not object to one trivial condition.
At first, all my work here was trivial, but a new assignment came up, and
Hey there, and welcome to TalkWord. This is the show where we get curious about English words and really dig into their stories. Today, we're looking at a word you've definitely heard and probably used. But its history? Well, that's a whole other story. The word is trivial. So let me ask you, what does it mean when something is trivial? You're probably thinking of something small, right? A minor issue, a little detail that doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. And you know what? You're totally on the right track. But there's so much more hiding behind that simple definition. All right, first things first. Let's get on the same page and lock down the core definition. At its heart, trivial is an adjective, and it just means something has very little value or importance. You know, it's small, it's unimportant, it's insignificant. If a problem is trivial, it's not a big deal. If a fact is trivial, it's just a fun little tidbit. The key idea here is a total lack of importance. Now, you'd think a word that literally means unimportant would have a pretty boring, unimportant origin story, wouldn't you? Well, think again. This is where the story gets really, really cool. So to get this, we have to go all the way back to ancient Rome. The word's journey starts with two simple Latin words. First, you've got tri, which means, you guessed it, three. And then you have via, which means roads. Put them together, and you get trivialis, which was a literal physical place, a spot where three roads met, a crossroads. It was a public place, where people would hang out, gossip, and just chat about everyday stuff. So how did we get from a common crossroads to commonplace and unimportant? Well, think about the conversations people were having there. They were talking about ordinary, everyday things. Over time, the word trivialis started to describe not just the place, but the kind of stuff talked about there. It went from meaning of the crossroads to meaning commonplace, and from there it was a short jump to unimportant. Pretty neat, right? Okay, so that's the history lesson. Now, let's bring it into the present. How do we actually use this word in real life without sounding like we just swallowed a dictionary? Let's put it into practice. Here's a perfect everyday example, a typo in an email. Yeah, it's a mistake, but it's a small one. It doesn't really change the meaning of anything. It's a trivial error. It's unimportant, and it's super easy to fix. See how that works? And this word is actually super useful. You can use it to talk about trivial details when you want to say, hey, let's focus on the big picture here. Or you could mention that someone made a few trivial mistakes on a test, but still did great overall. It's also really good for comparing problems. You can say some concerns are trivial to show that there's a much bigger issue we need to deal with first. Okay, I want you to lean in for this next part, because it might be the most important thing we talk about today. Knowing a word's definition is one thing, but knowing when not to use it, that's next level stuff. And trivial has a social trap you need to watch out for. So you gotta ask yourself, when could using this perfectly fine word actually get you into a bit of trouble? When might it make you sound, well, kind of like a jerk? Here is the absolute key. It is totally fine, 100% safe, to use trivial to describe things, an impersonal task, a mistake in a document, a minor detail. Calling a typo trivial isn't going to offend anyone, but, and this is a big but, it gets really risky when you start using it to describe a person's feelings or their personal concerns. Telling someone their feelings are trivial? Whoa, that's a different game entirely. And that's really the bottom line. When you call someone's problem trivial, you're not just describing the problem. You're dismissing their entire experience. You're basically saying what you're upset about doesn't matter. Even if you think it's a small issue, it might feel huge to them. And using that word can sound incredibly insensitive and, honestly, just plain rude. Phew, we have covered a lot of ground, haven't we? We went from Roman crossroads all the way to modern-day social skills. So let's just do a super quick recap of the main points you should walk away with. If you only remember 3 things from today, make it these. Number 1, trivial just means small and unimportant. Easy. Number 2, it has that awesome origin story from the Latin for 3 roads, a common meeting place. And number 3, and this is the big one, use it with caution. Avoid using it to describe how someone feels. And to wrap things up, I want to leave you with a little challenge. We all have these tiny worries that just live in our heads rent-free. So think about it. What is one genuinely trivial thing that you can give yourself permission to just let go of today? I really hope you had fun digging into the word trivial with me. And hey, if you want to keep exploring the amazing stories behind English words, your journey definitely doesn't have to stop here. You should totally check out the TalkWord app. It's really cool. You can actually create your very own word explainers, just like this one, and get fun audio from our hosts to bring them to life. It's a fantastic way to build your vocabulary every single day. Just search for TalkWord in your app store. Thanks so much for hanging out.
Something trivial?
You sound like Trivial Pursuit.